Yo, what's up, guys? Hey, man, welcome back to the channel. Hey, if y'all new, you know what to do, man. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. Show your boys some love. And for all my day ones, man, I already know I'd like to thank y'all, man. Thank you so much for being on here. On this video, I'm going to give you 3 careers that you can do once you become an X-ray tech and you have a little bit of experience. I'm going to give you the careers, I'm going to give you the salary, and how you get there. So, if this is something you're interested in, stay tuned, all right? Um, but yeah, so what I want to say, the first one is this. So yeah, PACS administrator. PACS administrator is kind of like a given, but still a lot of people don't know that you become a PACS administrator. I didn't know I could become a PACS administrator. So cause like I always came from a small hospital, so I didn't learn about a lot of these careers until I branched off to like bigger organizations, bigger hospitals, bigger places that needed to utilize these careers that I didn't even know existed. So PACS administrator is basically especially if you like computers, you sit in a computer and it's your job to make sure that the PACS image gets to the radiologist and dictated properly without any kind of issues. And trust me, if you worked in hospitals, you know that they have plenty of issues that happen. And guess who gets called? The PACS administrator. And they have special training that, you go behind the scenes, behind PACS, and make sure, because what happens is just like the internet. You send images and sometimes they don't want to go, or they went and we don't know where they went. They disappeared in the internet, PACS space, and they had to go find it. They had to go retrieve it and make sure that, that it gets read properly, because the last thing you want to do is, oh, it's lost. I'm gonna go radiate the patient and expose that patient to more radiation because of the fact that we had a glitch in our system. Like, that's not the way to do it. So that's why PACS administrators are so powerful and they're so needed, because they're valuable. We need a PACS administrator. Especially in when the most things happen that you never think about that will break down, when you work a night shift. When you work a night shift, everything happens. Like, they want to do the system reboots. They want to sit there and be like, oh, we're going to install, a new system at 2 in the morning. Like, why? Why are you going to do it at 2 in the morning when nobody's available? And if something happens, we got a PACS administrator. You know what I'm saying? So PACS administrators are very, very knowledgeable and needed. Now, the requirements to be a PACS administrator is at least 1 year of experience. And the ARRT also, I think it's ART. Yes, they also have a test that you have to take to be registered. And that's this. So yeah, man, you had to be registered in PACS administrator. But for the most part, it's, you learn on the job. And most of those jobs, I'll be honest with you, they're a little hard to find, because most PACS administrators keep their job because of the fact that you don't have to worry about patient care. You don't you done your job as an X-ray tech. You're like, man, I'm a little burnt out from patient care. All I've have done my whole career is take care of patients. So I want to do a little bit more technical stuff, and be behind the scenes, and still be in patient care, involved in patient care, but just not direct patient care. And this is one of the ways to move away from direct patient care, but still utilize your career that you went to school for 2 years to obtain. You can still do that. So that's pretty cool. The second one is this: application specialist. I never knew that existed. We came from a small hospital, and I'll be honest with you, we changed systems a couple of times, but I never paid attention. I was young. I was just kind of like sitting there doing my own thing, trying to like survive in the world and not even worry about my career. Like, I've done school, I'm done. How do I do a CAT scan? How to do an X-ray, whatever type thing, right? I really never pay attention to the career of application specialist, or things like that. I was like, what? I was like, what? So I didn't really pay attention until I went to a bigger hospital, and we got a new machine. So a new machine, you have to learn new software. So that's when an application specialist comes in, and they help you set up like your protocols. So say it's an X-ray machine, right? Your job as a applications manager, application specialist, is not to install the machine. That's not your job. Your job is to go there after the machine is already installed. Go in there and be like, okay, you're the techs for this department or for this facility, this hospital, this urgent care, this freestanding ER, whatever, you're working at. I'm gonna show you how to work the machine. I'm gonna show you how what button does what. I'm gonna show you what and how to install protocols, and that's it. Like, I'm not saying it's easy. Now, the reason I say that is because we literally, I'm working in a new freestanding ER, and application manager or application specialist had to come and help me understand the machine. Just because you've been in a tech for so long, um, doesn't mean you're going to know everything right away. Little buttons are kind of universal and they mean the same. But with this all new technology, all this AI stuff, all this automatic, detenting and all that, I never experienced that. So this is my first time, being in a place that has all this high tech stuff. So it's cool. So I was kind of picking his brain. I was like, hey, bro, how'd you get into this? You know what I'm saying? Like, how'd you get into this, career? And he's like, hey, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I applied to a smaller, he works for GE, by the way. I applied for a smaller company. They gave me a shot just with my regular RT, just with my regular AS degree, no special things needed. But he did tell me, though, once you get into the career and you get that opportunity, the first year is rough because, especially, don't, I'm not saying don't try it, but just understand that this application specialist job is a lot of traveling for the first year. He told me he had to go to Detroit, he had to go, Virginia, New York, all these different places to help, new, machines and new techs learn how to work the system. So, but he told me once you're in there, like, it's kind of like learning X-ray over again, but not X-ray. It's like learning the brain of the X-ray, what produces the X-ray. So he teaches the basics. The basics, like, oh, this button does this button does that. This how you press the button to auto detent. That's his job to teach us. But him to become a application specialist, you have to go in deep, and something breaks. If something messes up, you have to be like, okay, you have to go behind the scenes, do this, what happens, blah blah. So it's not just cutthroat like that. No, you really, really have to, know your stuff. But he did say you don't have to take no test. There's nothing like, oh, you had to take this test, you had to do this, you had to do that. Like, I don't think, you don't have to do that. Now, what I think you have to do, though, he didn't tell me because I honestly, now I'm thinking about it. I'm guessing that you had to be with an application specialist while you were training, for them to give you for them to feel confident to be like, you know what, I'm gonna let him go, and now we feel confident in this gentleman or this, young lady to go and present our product to this technologist and show him how to do and work the machine. So I'm sure you had to go through some kind of like initiation, as they say, right? Some comps. But yeah, man, that's a possibility that I never thought that I had. So the third one, oh, let me give you the salary for that one. So the salary for applications, he was telling me it ranges between 90 and 110K a year. It's good money, bro. And you get to fly and walk and see the country for free. It's like being a travel tech. You get to go and travel to different states, different things for free on the company's dime. You're doing their job. You're doing your job, but it's their job too to get you there, which is super cool. So the third one is this: a sales rep. Yo, when I was working in this big hospital, right? The sales reps are, whew, let me just woosah, right? Because the reason I say that is because sales reps are usually, well, the ones I met are usually in the ER. I haven't met a sales rep for like a machine, like as far as like a CAT scan or whatever. I haven't met those. The sales reps that I know are from the OR, which means that they sell like Stryker, they sell like knee replacements, shoulder replacements, spine. They sell those things, right? So this is my experience from that. We as X-ray techs can also get into that, but let me tell you about that job, especially in the ER. Now, I know that out here in the real world, as far as like, not real world, but outside of the OR world, like, installing machines and selling X-rays and selling portables is not as bad as working in the OR. So there's OR reps, sales reps that you can get into, which, like I said, sells kneecaps, sells elbows, all that fake stuff that, you turn into RoboCop. That's what they sell. Then you have the sales reps that sells CT machines, MRI machines, CT, X-ray portables. So those you have two different reps. But let me tell you about the OR rep. The OR rep, man, I'm telling you, man, if we as technologists get yelled at, you have no idea how bad these sales reps get yelled at. And I'm telling you that if you don't know your stuff, man, the surgeons will tear you a new one. I know it sounds bad, man, but your profession as a sales rep, you have to know every single thing about that whatever you're selling. If it's the knee, if it's a spine or whatever you're representing and you're a rep for, you better know that from the back of your hand to how you walk, because the surgeon is going to count on you a lot. He's been like, okay, how do you do this? And you have to. Sometimes it feels like when I sit back look and I look, I feel like sometimes the rep is the surgeon, because like, no, no, dog, take that screw out, put it inversely, or take that screw out and put it, AP. Like he's telling the surgeon how to do surgery, because he has this apparatus that he's selling them, and it's crazy, man. It's super intense. But when the rep doesn't know their stuff, man, the surgeon, and that's what we get. We get that we get the back of it as X-ray techs, because if the rep doesn't know his stuff, then the surgeon gets mad at us and he starts pushing our O arm and on our C arm out the way and be like, "Get out of here, blah blah." Yeah, it happens. Don't let them fool you, man. Surgeons can be tough. But again, if you're a rep, you have to know your stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like the OR reps for Stryker and companies like that, it's a lot of stress, good money. They make like between 140, 160 a year, but you have to be on call. And the thing about being on call for when you're an OR is that when a surgeon has an OR case, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, you as a rep, you have to be there because they're using your product. So you have to be there. All right. So keep that in mind. Now we're gonna flip it, right? And we're gonna go to the machines. You're selling CT machines, X-ray machines, portable machines. Those reps do not work past 4 o'clock. When you get in at 8 o'clock in the morning, you leave at 3 o'clock. Well, if all the techs are there, cool. If they're not, then you can, be like, look, I'm gonna come in at 5 in the morning the next day. Make sure these reps are there, so you can kind of catch the not the reps. Make sure the X-ray techs are there or CT techs. That way, you can catch them in the morning, or you catch them in the morning at 5 in the morning before they go home at 7. But they're not on call. They're not working at midnight. If a surgeon they don't have to worry about if a surgeon has a surgery that they'd have to call their rep and they had to go over there at 3 in the morning. Right now, they don't deal with that. But they also, like I said, they make between 90 and 110 a year. Yeah, sales reps make, well, those, or that was the applications. I apologize. Now they also make, those sales reps for like CT machines. They also make between 150 to 200K a year. That's crazy money, bro. And the same kind of education that you have as an X-ray tech, you can do that, And I didn't even know that these things existed until I branched out to different hospitals and stuff. 'Cause I'm a country boy, as they say, man. I live in a little, small area, and we didn't have all these big technology stuff. We don't get machines every 5 years or 2 years. We get machines like once every 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So, things